We have nearly come to the end of this series of Junior Rangers, and in this show we're going to be looking at some of the animals we haven't featured in our other shows. So come and meet the Tegu,
the Warthogs, and lots of other animals in this week's edition of Junior Rangers. There are over 100 species of animal here at Longleat, and in this week's edition of Junior Rangers, we'll be showing you some of them which we haven't featured before. And we're starting up in the East African Reserve with one of my favourite animals, the warthog. We have 3 warthogs here at Longleat. Warthogs come from Africa, and they have small tusks which they use for digging, combat and defence. In the wild, warthogs live in burrows in the ground, but they are quite big animals, so they reverse into their burrows so they can easily spring out forward. Let's walk over to the other side of the East African Reserve. There's another animal I want to show you. These are the tapirs. Tapirs come from Central and South America, and although they look like a similar animal to the warthog, their nearest relatives are actually the horse and the rhino. They can live for 25 to 30 years, and when they are quite young, tapirs have spots and stripes, but these fade away as they get older. Tapirs have big appetites. They eat leaves, branches and fruit, and they have been known to eat up to 40 kilograms a day. And just to show you how much that is, I weigh 30 kilograms. Well, we'll leave the tapirs to enjoy their food while I look for another interesting animal in the safari park. But meanwhile, Annie and Darren are looking at a much smaller animal in Pet's Corner.
So this is Harry, and Harry's our leopard gecko. He's quite handsome as well, isn't he? Look at him. Did you like him? Yeah.
Yeah, he's got very distinct markings.
Yeah, I mean, he looks a bit like a leopard, doesn't he? When they're born, they actually look more like tigers because they have more stripes than blotches, but the blotches break up with time. He's a leopard gecko, and he comes from Afghanistan. And obviously he can withstand very, very high temperatures. Here, put your hands out flat and see if he'll walk on. He's got, there we are, he's got very gentle little claws to help him walk along. He says, oh, your hands are cold. No, yeah, he's on you now. Well done. That's it, you got him. Get out in the sun, he likes a bit of sunshine. Yeah, they can withstand really, really high temperatures. And these are really bug eaters. They'll eat any sort of little invertebrate, sort of crickets and ants and the equivalent of termites, anything they can get. Here we feed them locusts and crickets and mealworms. And I don't know if you can see, like the other reptiles, his tongue's very specialist because not only can he smell with it and he can help grab his dinner, but living in a very sort of dusty, dirty environment, he can actually use his tongue to clean his eyes. He comes around, and he can actually reach his eyes and take any grit or dirt out of them.
It feels like he's slipping, but it's because he's just really smooth.
He is. He feels, well, what does he feel like, do you think?
He feels like velvet. Nearly.
Does, doesn't he? And you see this tail, this is really important. This is like his little energy store. This is sort of rather similar to the hump on a camel, and it's a fat store. And, you know, times when he needs it, of course, he can take some energy from there and some moisture from there, because obviously food doesn't come along every single minute of every day where he lives. It's a very harsh environment. Yeah, have them back again. And these are one of the lizards that I know you're aware of, that if they really, really have to, they will lose the end of their tail. Yeah, and it's a defence. If you were a bird or something, or a carnivore coming to grab him, then he could shed a bit of his tail. But it's the last resort. They never want to do that, really.
No, he's like half on me, half on you.
And he's a dad. He was a dad. We've got a female leopard gecko as well. And strange enough, they lay eggs. And they lay eggs and bury them in the hot sand. And then they hatch out into little tiny baby leopard geckos. But they're very nice animals, these ones. I do like these. They can be quite fragile, so you have to be very careful with them. I think he wants to come back and say goodbye to you, I think.
So while the leopard gecko enjoys the sun, let's see how Joe is getting on in the safari park.
Just after you drive past the rhino house, you'll see the pelicans. Pelicans are a large bird with a very large pouched beak. These are pink-backed pelicans. But down at the lake, you can see Australian pelicans. The Australian pelican has the largest beak of any bird. Pelicans have also been around for a very long time. There are fossils of pelicans that date back around 40 million years. They eat mainly fish, and sometimes they all fish in a long line together, driving the fish into shallower water, making them easier to catch. And back down in Pet's Corner, it's time for Annie to meet the tegu.
So Annie, this is the wonderful Diego the tegu. Isn't he lovely? Do you like him?
Yeah, but he looks a bit scary.
He does look a bit scary. I mean, he is a meat eater. He's a carnivorous lizard from South America. But to be honest with you, he's a little bit of a softer. You can give him a tickle in there. Give him a tickle in there. Look. Oh, he likes that. Isn't he nice? Mm. Now this, you see this tongue coming out?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is exactly like the snake. He's grabbing all the scents and the smells, and he's got the Jacobson organ. He's got the little bit in the roof of his mouth where it sends a message to his brain, says, you smell nice and friendly. Not going to eat you. You're not a nice hunk of meat that he's going to eat.
Do the tegus all have different markings?
Well, there are two sort of recognised wild varieties. There's a black and white and a red and white. This is the Argentinian black and white tegu, this one. The reason I love him so much, apart from him being a big gentle giant, a big softie, because you can carry him around and people can meet him, is that he looks just like a dinosaur, doesn't he, from your books and from your history lessons. Oh, you see this? This is quite important. See, he stood up on his tiptoes just to make him look big and tough. Look, he's just saying, I'm tough and I'm going to rule the roost here. And he's smelling you all the time. He certainly hunts small animals, things like mice and rats and things like that, but also I use that tongue because he will eat a little bit of already dead stuff. We call it carrion, so something that's passed away down there in the pampas and certainly in the scrubland. So if something's already passed away, he'll go and help himself. So he's very sweet. And this is a male, and he's only 2.5, 3 years old, maybe a bit more than that now. So I think he's still growing a little bit as well, but he's quite handsome.
What are these like cheeks for, you could say?
That's really well spotted. We call him jowls, and he's sort of puffed them full of air at the moment, and that's really to make himself look big and impressive. Now, if you were a lady tegu, you'd think he's very handsome because he's puffing them out. And also, if he was trying to scare you away, see how suddenly his head's got a lot bigger and he looks more ferocious. And it's just a display, really, and to say, stay away from me, or, come and have a look. He's coming to smell me now. Look, there we are. And he's got very powerful, strong feet. They're steady walkers and quite strong animals. And if you were to grab him, if I was to grab him and try and restrain him now, he is all muscle. He's very powerful, and he does a twist and a roll. And other reptiles, things like crocodiles, do it as well. And they twist and roll, and they're very, very powerful at doing it. So he's a muscly animal. He really is.
And here's another one of my favourite Longleat animals. It's the porcupine. These are great animals. The keepers have put some food in this bowl, and they're having great fun getting it out. You can find porcupines in Asia, Africa, North and South America. These are African porcupines. Now, they may look a lot like a hedgehog, but they are not related. In fact, they are more closely related to beavers. Well, we hope you've enjoyed looking at the porcupines and the other animals in this week's show, and we've really enjoyed making these programmes for you.
Next week's show will be the last episode of Junior Rangers 2009, and we'll be giving you our top tips for getting great photos of the animals here at Longleat.
So come and join us next week for the last edition of Junior Rangers.
Bye!
See you then!